Now, the rest of the story.
All right, welcome back. Well, it is the end of the day, or close enough to the end of the day, but there's plenty of things to keep us moving around here. If you guys can't tell, or can't hear him, Dad's currently trying to mow his yard. And I figured since, well, we're done with the chisel plow, it was sitting in the back of the machine shed. I'd get it hooked up to the 76 and get it gone through and at least put away for the summer. Well, other than the standard go through everything and make sure it's ready to be used next fall, I had a little bit of a surprise. Flat tire. Flat tires are not the end of the world by any means. What bugs me about it is this is the same tire that I had fixed the last couple days of spring tillage. I think the last person to use it was Ryan. And no, I don't think Ryan had a flat tire and drove 5 miles home and didn't tell anybody. I'm thinking either he found a rock. Well, over the years it's been anything from, say, a sharp rock to a nail to a stick. I'm actually kind of thinking it might be the valve stem, because I did try putting some air into it, and it's actually still on the bead, but the valve stem was puking a lot of air around it when I did put the air hose on it, so kind of thinking that's the problem. But not out of the realm of possibility. He could have hit it when he was chiseling it, something come up and caught it. I mean, stranger things have happened. Other than going through and getting this thing greased, because I'll keep saying it, when we go to park things for months at a time, over the summer isn't nearly as bad as over the winter, because like somebody was saying, when you go and park things away in the winter and you get that extreme 20, 30, 40, 50 degree below weather chills, and then it warms up 50 degrees and then it cools back down, you get the, everything gets more brittle when it gets that colder, and things just don't take to the cold weather like you'd like them to. So everything I do to this chisel plow, maybe outside of a tire now, it'll be ready to go. We can hook onto it next fall and it'll be locked and loaded and ready to run. None of the bearings are bad. I do know, that's fine, but I do know that this, well, you see these teeth that go between these blades for knocking out any dirt clods or anything. There's 2 bolts on the far side I have to go through and tighten up. And also I'm going to go through and get this lifted up off the ground and get that tire off yet tonight. I mean, it's 10 after 6 at night, so it's not like I'm going to be able to get it fixed anytime soon. Oh, till morning. Especially with this chisel plow, especially since we've ran it since 14, we do know that certain things you need to really be looking out for on it to make sure that they aren't wearing out and about to fall apart on you. A lot of it is, or part of it is these pins. This one down here has not given us any trouble this year, but this tire, what happened was when this broke, or Ryan did, I'm gonna put the blame on Ryan for that one. He broke these bolts out, which it's not his fault, it's just the wear and tear going across the field. It happened to Dad too. Actually, to be honest with you, I think all 3 of us have had this break on us. Ryan was actually the worst, or when it broke on Ryan, it was the worst because it bent this back beam bar shaft. It was about 2 feet above the frame. That was a mess. And that one actually, they bent it back. So we took it up to the local machine shop, they bent it back, which is great, you know. We put it back in and it did have a slight bow to it. Bad enough to the point what it was actually doing. I gotta try to keep the sun behind the camera so I don't blind you guys. What it did is the bow was in the center, so these 2 it was actually chewing in to the shaft here. It was actually grooving out down underneath these holders. And no, I'm not gonna wash it off either. The dirt isn't gonna hurt anything. If it was the planter's getting washed off, and mainly just the planter, and everything's gonna get greased, but we're gonna be using it this fall anyway. It's not gonna get hurt, or not gonna bother it. So what ended up happening is the original shaft that was going through here, it was getting grooved out, and so I ended up taking the whole chisel plow up to the machine shop. They went through, they took the old shaft out, they cut out all of these brackets and put a new shaft in, which is fine, great, dandy. What I was really regretting is that I didn't go through and replace these bolts. They're grade 8s, but which side was it? I want to say it was the other side. We broke 2 of these bolts going across the field, so in turn it did end up bending this shaft again. Took it out, this shaft, took it out, took it up. They straightened this one out, and they actually were able to do a better job. I think a lot of it was because it didn't bend quite as extreme as the original one, but they were able to bend it back where it's holding its own. It hasn't given us any trouble in 2 years now, but we do pay pretty close attention to all of this hardware through here now. Actually, I think it wasn't from us, but the bolts that broke down along the frame here, when those broke, they were only grade 5, and I ended up going through and replacing everything with grade 8s, and it's done a better job. Overall, I've said my opinions on this chisel plow more than enough times. I think everybody pretty well knows that I don't feel like this chisel plow is as heavy as it really should be. It's not built heavy enough for us. The 46 pulls it just fine. The 82 pulls it like it's not even back there. And a bigger chisel plow would be more ideal. We have been talking about cutting down on the amount of chisel plowing we're doing. Not necessarily going to 100% away from it, but there's talks to using that machine. Of course, it's dark back there. The Earthmaster, going through and working down the stalks in the fall, kind of like a min-till program, where we're just working the stalks in the fall after we go through and hit them with the combine, because that has the 360-degree chain rolls on it to help process up the corn stalks. Well, it really does. It shreds the stalks and everything as they're going through the head really well. I mean, there's not much left going into the following spring. So when you add the stalks getting processed through the corn head, then when you go through and you hit them once in the fall with the VT, because that knocks all the standing stalks down, gets them on the ground so they can start breaking down. And then if you go through in the spring and you hit it one more time in the spring, it really seems to do a really nice job at making an adequate seed bed. Maybe not 100%. I'm not willing to say, really go quite that far as to say that the seed bed it makes is 100% perfect. But if we're still able to keep our yields, within trend lines, so we're not seeing a 10, 15, 20 bushel drop in our yields just from doing this program, or maybe getting away from chisel plowing as much as we are, then I could see trying to keep doing it. And a lot of it is, it's time. A lot of it is the amount of time that we have given to us by Mother Nature to get everything done in the fall. The last 2 years have been terrible. I just heard it again today that, what is this, the wettest Wisconsin has ever been as far as for spring. So that is, yeah, it's on my mind. I mean, I want to keep saying that we're going to go back to more average weather. I don't know what's average anymore. Every year is different. Everyone wants to compare, not everyone, but you hear people want to compare back to previous years that are similar to this year, and I keep hearing 93, 95. Well, I was young enough where I really don't remember 93 or 95, so to me this is just another day, another year on the farm. So you just try to adapt to it and get through it the best you can. So I like chisel plowing, I really do, but there are some farms where it's probably in our best interest to not be chiseling them. Between worrying about erosion, my place, I like seeing that place worked up. Only problem is the amount of rocks that we have down there. I worry about the rocks that we're bringing up potentially creating more potential damages, breakdowns, wear and tear on our equipment. A land roller, I really should try to take some incentive one of these years. And Dad's getting up here with the lawnmower. I really should try to take some incentive one of these years and see if I can't demo, rent. I probably should just see if I can't rent one, a land roller, and go through and roll all of our soybeans, or roll for a day and just try to get some test strips done. Because if we can get a justify a land roller and shove all those rocks back down into the ground, I mean, when they're only softball size, baseball size rocks, and you're able to shove them back down so you're not hitting them with the combine, they say it's just really dealing with what you have to work with. Our problem is, like down at my place, the freeze and the thaw of the winters up here, there's no way if we pick up rocks 3 months straight, 7 days a week, 12 hours a day, we will not get ahead on the rocks down there. And a lot of it is just accepting it. So, all right, hopefully this is gonna be the last time you guys see the chisel plow for a couple months, few months. I mean, we really need to start shifting over and get ready for getting ready to start making hay. We are hopefully, possibly, potentially going to get a break in the weather here, and I'm hoping 3 days of sunshine and some wind, and then they're saying 1 day, of course it changes all the time, a potential 1 day chance of rain, and then I think they're saying 4 up to 5 days of sunshine and 70s. And if that is the case, we will be going through and cutting every little bit of hay, grass, whatever we have we can find. Get it cut, get it windrowed, let it sit for 24 hours, keep that ground exposed, because the ground is wet, so as much sun and wind we can get to it in a 12-hour, 24-hour time span, great. Then we'll go through the next day, somebody will go through and get it tedded out, spread all that hay out nice and thin, all nice and even across the field, so we'll get a mat of hay, get it all dried out as best as we can, rake it up and bale it under the threat of about to get rained out, because that's just how you make hay in June in Southwest Wisconsin. So. All right, thanks for watching, thanks for tuning in. I got to get back to work, get this thing, well, I'll get this tire pulled off, and I'm gonna go through and get this greased up so I can start working on the next project. So I'll talk to you guys later.